So, is Saquon destined for a drop-off this year?
No, and here's why. This was Saquon's first year ever carrying the ball 300 or more times. All the other guys on that list fit in one of two categories. One, most of them had multiple seasons of 300 or more carries, including the one where they went for 2,000. The other two, O.J. Simpson and Chris Johnson, were on mediocre teams. O.J.'s team didn't even make the playoffs when he ran for 2,003 yards. Next year they went 9-5, got bounced in the first round. Chris Johnson's team was 8-8 when he went for 2,000 and 6-10 the year after. Saquon does not have the wear and tear that many of these guys have had when they went for 2K. And he's on a great team with a great offensive line, so I don't see a drop. I'm not saying he's going for 2,000 again, but I see him having a huge year.
I mean, so you think he'll break 1,500?
The only thing I think would stop him is injuries, and if they just start throwing the ball way more than they did last year.
Injuries are a fair concern, and
because of his history?
And the history of the position, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if a guy gets hurt, he gets hurt.
No, but there are certain guys in certain positions that are more likely, you know what I mean, that we are bigger injury risks than others. I'm going to give you a different stat. And everybody, I don't believe in the Madden curse.
Okay.
But I do find this interesting for a different reason. The running backs who have been on the cover of Madden and what they did the year after. Now, shout out Eddie George, who was the first ever athlete on the cover of Madden. Before him, it was John Madden every year. He did great. Marshall Faulk dipped. Sean Alexander, your guy, dipped massively. Peyton Hillis, it was a joke he was ever on there. I blame my buddy Gabe Goodwin. It was all his fault. You might have even had something to do with the KW. But Gabe Wild sneakily was a little involved.
All Gabe?
Yeah, Peyton Hillis.
All Gabe.
And then Christian McCaffrey. So this is not a curse thing. This is a further evidence of, hey, you know, running backs who have monster years and get used a ton and are like, the next year, they typically don't. Now, the legendary Ironman did, Brew. You know what I mean? Adrian Peterson.
I mean, he dipped after his 2,000.
Right, after his 2,000. But he had the 1,500, 1,800, 1,600. Right. Those guys. Obviously, Emmett didn't. I'm not saying it's everyone. And I think it's fair to say Saquon, given his history, is certainly not in the legendary Ironman category. No. And I just think that is
but you're thinking concern. Injury. If he's healthy, because I agree, I mean, he could get injury, and he's been injury prone to some degree in the past. But I'm assuming he's going to be healthy. What do you think about that?
I hate.
Because most of the guys have played the full season. Derrick Henry got hurt after. But outside of that.
So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not saying I hate speculating on injury. What I am saying is, do I think Saquon will be as healthy next year as he was last year? No. You know what I mean? I think that'd be a poor bet. Do I?
Okay. I'm just not in the business of trying to predict that. You know, he's gonna get injured. You know, like I'm not gonna play that game. I'm just not. I think that's just silly and a waste, and I'd rather look at it from a more practical on the field. I mean, if Saquon Barkley was coming off of an injury and off of something like we kind of talked about before, Christian McCaffrey's injury and how it's kind of like degenerative, like his body is just essentially failing on him, and it had been for a couple years, even during his successful season, like in 23. When Christian McCaffrey had his great year and was on the cover, you know, before he then landed on the cover of Madden and all that, like his body was already in the process of failing on him. His body was already hanging on by a thread, which is why he then entered the offseason injured and then didn't play in 24, obviously, for a long time, and then got injured again. Like, you have to be able to understand the difference between those situations here. And comparing to what happened in football in, like, 2012, 2001 means nothing to me. I mean, you're talking about nearly 3 decades ago. Like, none of that matters. Seriously. The pads are different. The training regimens are different. The fields are different. Nutrition, strength, and conditioning. The rules in football are literally different. The rules in football are literally different. So if we're just talking about like how your body can withstand and withhold all of this stuff, I do not care what you did in like 2005. It just means just absolutely nothing. And so to look at this from a more football perspective, do I think that he'll have because this is a drop off in performance or a drop off in stats, because those are two very, very, very different things. And I talked about this on an NFL Live clip because I forget who it was, but he was like, I think we haven't even seen the best of Saquon Barkley yet. That I disagree with. I think we've seen the best of Saquon Barkley, but it doesn't mean his stats are going to see that. I think Saquon Barkley will still be just as great, but I don't know if his stats will always show that because of how this team will continue to evolve and what this team will ask Saquon to do. Last season, first off, I do think there was a lot of energy to keep the Saquon party going in terms of just the stats, to have this historic year. They had to have a real conversation about, do we all play against, the New York Giants? Like, it was a real conversation. But even before all that, all of the other amazing milestones, breaking like, Eagles records, NFL records, like there was a lot of energy behind that. And the team needed this boost. The team needed that energy. They needed it. They were coming off of a rough year the year before. The year before that, they obviously had a heartbreaking loss in the Super Bowl. Like they needed some juice. They needed some energy. They needed to get behind Saquon Barkley. Like, he's going to be a difference maker. He's going to be the difference in why we get over this Super Bowl hump. There was, the team needed to be built up. The team does not need to be built up. The team knows exactly who they are. They're Super Bowl champions. Like, that's who they are. They are the Philadelphia Eagles, not the Saquon Barkley Eagles. And so it's not even a matter of like Jalen Hurts is going to throw more and stuff. But it's just more of going to be like, we got a Super Bowl in our in our path. Like, that's what we're looking for. We're trying to repeat. That's what we're ultimately trying to do. The Philadelphia Eagles are not in the business of sending messages. That's not how they operate. And I said this in that other video. They're not the Detroit Lions. They're not trying to get revenge on the Dallas Cowboys. They're not trying to show everyone that they're better than the Chicago Bears. The Eagles do not care about any of that. They do not try to send messages. They just try to win games. It's as simple as that. Look no further than Saquon Barkley himself literally sliding in multiple games when they could have ran up the score, when they could have done that. I mean, it was so obvious that the Detroit Lions wanted to just keep running up the score again. And I'm not even necessarily against that, because that is part of their culture. That is what rallies those troops. That's what you do. Hat tip to you. Get after it. That's fine. It's not who the Philadelphia Eagles are. They're just not. It's not who they've been with this current format of this team. So they're not set out to break any records. They're not set out to send any messages. They're not set out to say, we're going to prove that we can win games with Jalen Hurts. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens, they're always trying to send a message. Lamar Jackson, he's a great quarterback. Great. Win games when it matters most. Detroit Lions, we want to show that we are just relentless. Great. Get to a Super Bowl. Like, all these other teams are always trying to send messages. They're always trying to prove a point. You know the two teams that are not trying to prove points? The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. You know who's been the two most successful teams for the last decade or so? The Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Was Patrick Mahomes trying to prove to everyone in 24 that he could finally get back to his roots? No. He got to the Super Bowl. He lost, obviously, but just it was what it was. He was like, yeah, defensive-led team. Let's just keep winning games. I wish it was different, but whatever. Let's get after it. Andy Reid wasn't like, I got to show everyone that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. He didn't win the MVP last year. I got to prove that. We take that as an insult. It's like, no, we're just going to win. We're just going to do everything we can. Travis Kelce is going to need to have a big bounce back here. I guarantee you they don't do anything extra to try to get Travis Kelce back in form. They're just going to play football. They're just going to try to win games. Same thing with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's not going to be any, Jalen Hurts won this way. Now we got to show everyone that he can win that way. No. Not how it works. Not how it works. So I don't think there'll be any type of chasing here. I really don't. I really, really, really don't. There's this constant feeling, they talk about this type of stuff in the media all the time. So-and-so needs to prove he deserves the contract. So-and-so is trying to show everyone that it wasn't just a one-hit wonder, that he just only had one good season the year before. No, it's just all about winning. I mean, it really is. At this point for the Philadelphia Eagles and how this team is, it's just about winning. The players that need to get paid are obviously going to get paid. And the players that were supposed to get paid got paid. It's just about winning right now. It's really as simple as that. Other teams need to try to prove a point. Right? There was that feeling like Lamar Jackson needed to prove he could play big against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They wanted to prove to the Kansas City Chiefs that they could win without just running the ball. Didn't work out for you. Didn't work out for you. The Eagles don't have anything to prove in that regard. Think about it. Throughout all last season, they never really tried to send a message, ever. The closest you got to it was that Pittsburgh Steelers game, and I know Jalen got a little chippy in that. But when you really look and see how that game unfolded, I mean, it was just basic football 101, man. Like, the plan of attack and what they did made sense. They didn't go beyond themselves. And they've done something that Jalen Hurts has been able to do his entire career. But it was just coming off the back of like, ooh, can Jalen Hurts throw the ball? Did they change their game plan against the Kansas City Chiefs when everyone was like, Jalen Hurts has to have the greatest, biggest game in the history of the NFL history of the universe. They can't rely on Saquon. They just stuck to their game plan. They ran Saquon. Didn't work out too well for them. They kept getting stuffed. And Jalen Hurts was able to step up and win. But it was just because that's what the game dictated for him to do. The game came to him. They didn't say, the way we win this game is by highlighting Jalen Hurts and showing that he can do the stuff that no one else believes he can. No. They just played football. It's as simple as that. And that's how then you get some less stats. I mean, seriously. That really is. To consistently get like 2,000 yards, something like that, like, it's got to be very intentional. It's not going to just casually happen, especially with the Philadelphia Eagles, because, the other easy way to get to that is by, again, really just running the score up, really trying to just go. And I think if the Eagles are in convincing situations where they're going to win the game, they're going to pull back on Saquon Barkley. They're not going to try to get 300 plus carries. If they're up by 14, 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, they're not going to rely on Saquon Barkley. When last season, I feel as though they still were doing that. And I don't think they will. Because they also got a new man in town. This man right here. Quadfather. Quadzilla. And this is easily the best team he's ever been on. I think they're very smart. I think the Eagles already told you what they're going to be looking to do. They want to take the load off of their great elite playmakers. That's what they've consistently done. They weren't like, oh, Devontae's so great, we can just rely on him. No, they're like, well, let's go get A.J. Brown. Oh, A.J. Brown and Devontae are so good, and these other running backs are pretty good. No, let's go get Saquon Barkley. Oh, Jalen Hurts is a really great athlete. He can run. No. Let's get him weapons. Oh, our offense is so good, we don't need to worry about defense. No. Let's make our defense as great as we can. So when you compare what other teams have done in the past or what other players have done in the past, I care about what like the Seattle Seahawks did like 20 years ago. What the Tennessee Titans did with Derrick Henry. What? Huh? No. Hard disagree. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Philadelphia Eagles, Saquon Barkley taking a nosedive? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.